Hello, internet friends near and far. Welcome to another episode of Parks and Conversation. This is a podcast where we just take a moment to, well, not a moment, about 22 moments to watch an episode of Parks and Recreation. And then we take about 60 moments to talk about those 22 moments, usually. My name is Jason, and I am joined all the way across town by my friend Jeremy. Say hello, Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going? So is that, I know I just said, how's it going? Because I'm used to saying that, but is that 82 moments total?
82 moments total, usually.
Okay.
Yeah. So all we're asking from our listener is to devote almost an hour and a half to this podcast. But if you listen at like multiple times speed, like 3 times speed, like you're just flying through these. Don't worry about it.
But seriously, how are you doing?
I am fine. I feel like we need to offer a moment of apology to our listener. The last couple weeks, my office where I normally record has been in a construction zone. And so it's been a little difficult to make time to record and to find a place where I could record without a lot of family noise. So today's one of those days.
Where are you recording now?
I'm recording in my wife's craft room. Oh. So I'm surrounded by sewing machines and quilting fabrics. And then my daughter's art supplies.
This is going to be our most creative episode.
I'm definitely feeling the making it vibe.
Oh, hey, that's great. What a great plug.
Yeah, to a show that is on currently, starring Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman. And I have watched about 13 minutes of it.
Our family loves it. We've watched all of them.
It's a good show. I'm not around when it's on. So it's like,
okay, yeah.
I'm not seeking it out. I'm not very crafty. Neither. I'm not like sneaky or craft minded. So, and
I know what you're saying.
Also, I don't really, I got tired of all the puns that were happening.
What?
And I was like,
how are we even friends still?
I enjoy puns, but like, Jeremy, you don't have a writer's room working those puns out for you. Whereas like, this is totally forced. It just happens. And sometimes you swing and you miss, and sometimes you really knock it out of the park. But it seems like every time with making it, they're just trying to knock it out of the park every time. Yeah. It's like, nah.
That's what I'm going to call my brain from now on, the writer's room. It's the writer's room's fault. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. They don't get anything done until about 20 minutes before the show's ready.
Speaking of which, and I feel like we're kind of making up for the last couple episodes, in the timeline of things. If you're following in near real time, we woke up early to record this one. We're so excited to catch back up. I feel it's early for us. Well, for me,
it is early to be talking into a microphone.
Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, you're welcome, listener.
There you go.
So I think, okay, let me go off my list of things. Create hostility between hosts and listener. Mm-hmm. Check. Awesome. Denigrate a beloved television show. Check. Jason did that. All right. So today we're going to be talking about, also, there was an email, a town forum real quick. Dana, the teacher who is using our show in her classroom. Turns out it's not our show. She's actually talking about Parks and Rec in her classroom. Dana, thank you for bringing clarification using modern events, current events, and tying into the shows is the TV show, not our podcast. Again, if you are needing any help with ways to incorporate our podcast into your classroom in 2021, the fall of 2021, we are available. If you need substitute teachers, we both have taught at the college level. So, yeah. We can do this, right?
I think so. I don't think we're qualified to teach like kids, but yeah, we could definitely put on like some jackets with leather arm patches.
Yeah, I'm going to get a leather jacket with corduroy arm patches like Homer Simpson.
Perfect. So he cut them out of the other jacket. That was the funniest part of that joke.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about season 4, episode 7, and it's called The Treaty. And I'm calling this episode, Did We Win? I think we won. What are we trying to do? I learned so much today.
One of my favorite lines in the entire show.
Yes. And listener, what you should know is that Jeremy and I used to do a different podcast called Super Secret Base. And if you see a black Honda Element driving around with a giant one-person sticker, and in his chest has a square that says Super Secret Base, that's a me. But that quote is how we ended most of our run on that show. It was like the end was, I just think, what are we trying to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Summed it up pretty well.
Did we do it? I think so. I don't know. We're done though.
Yeah, it's over. So,
all right.
And also, listener, do not try to find that on the internet. No, that's hard feelings.
That's a different story. Come on.
But today, we are gathered here to talk about this episode, and there's three main plot lines that we'll look at. Leslie has been asked to help lead the Model UN with the local high school. And it turns out Ben is also super into the Model UN. The second plot line is Tom and Ron centric, and Ron is trying to get Tom to take his job back. And the third plot line is Chris is concerned that Millicent is not returning his calls, and so he launches a full-scale investigation.
I always think of Maleficent every time. Like, I think she's like this evil character, but
I can get that.
That's neither here nor there. Continue.
Did you see those movies?
I didn't.
Me neither.
Yeah.
End of story.
Okay.
We should do more movie reviews.
Did you see it? Nope.
All right. Keep going. All right. Keep scrolling.
Talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week on too busy to go to the movies. What was the Ebert and Roper?
Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah. Was it like on the aisle with Siskel and Ebert? Wasn't that it?
I think so.
Yeah. Mine would be like scrolling Fandango.
Yeah.
Nah.
Never showed up.
Ticket prices these days. Am I right?
I saw that preview.
Oh man, trailer reviews. That would be good.
Right. Because it's the whole movie with the plot. Oh, okay. Dude, we're getting so far off.
So let's start with the C plot because it's the shortest. Mm-hmm. And then we'll work our way to the B plot. And then we'll take more time with the A plot. How's that sound?
Perfect. Yeah, I got to fill out those 88 moments.
Yeah. So Chris is concerned that Millicent isn't calling him back. And he asks Anne, what's up with this? And he's concerned. And Anne is sarcastically saying, maybe you should launch a full-scale investigation. And Chris believes that at the root of sarcasm is truth. And so I am going to launch a full-scale investigation. And so
Chris should not come to Seattle. He would be doing so many things based on sarcasm.
That is true. Yeah. My daughter has recently discovered that sarcasm is her love language. And I was like, Joss, I don't think that's allowed. I don't think that's how love language works. And please don't. So, so he gathers the troops to launch this investigation. And he starts with Jerry because Jerry knows Millicent pretty well, being her father. And he starts to ask about why, she's not calling back. And Jerry's like, you really shouldn't be talking to me about these things.
Yeah, Jerry is an unwilling participant in this investigation.
Yes. And so Donna is there in the office as well. And she's all in, like, I want the dirt on this relationship. She's just like, this is a soap opera in real life. I need this. And part of what she says to Chris is that he's too available. Like, he always returns her calls. And she's like, you need to dangle that carrot, literally and figuratively. And to which Chris says, thank you. And Jerry says, gross. So then cuts back to the next part. And he talks about how he loves telling people how he feels. Like, he wants people to know people's emotions, and like, because he just loves people. And Donna's like, did you tell her that you love her? And he's like, no, I'm not crazy. So he's like, I love telling people how I feel. Did you tell her that you love her? No, I'm not crazy. So, but he is pretty crazy. And then he also calls Anne in as she's coming into the parks department for some reason. Who knows why? She comes in and he calls Anne into this investigation think tank And Donna is even more on board with this now. It's like, yes, Anne and Chris's relationship. Let's get into this one and see what this is all about. And so, yeah, at one point she's eating popcorn during the investigation. Donna is just, this is the best day of Donna's job ever.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
On her annual review form that she's going to have to fill out for Chris, it's going to say worst day of the year. Probably going to be, the day after Treat Yourself. Best day of the year. Do not treat yourself this year. It's best day of the year was the one I got to hear about all your relationship. So that was good. So she loved that. And then, so cut back to them after a little bit later, and Anne and Chris are debriefing their relationship, talking about a couples retreat that they went on. And Donna's like trying to get more details about that. And, but ultimately what Chris learns is that he turned Anne into a female version of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then got bored because he was dating himself. And Anne at this point is like, I was jogging. I mean, I know it's supposed to make you healthy, but at what cost? So made me laugh pretty hard.
Yeah, because jogging is the worst.
Jogging is the worst. And Chris's response was, I'm sorry for adding 5 years to your life. See, that's sarcasm. I'm doing something you like.
It's so good.
This is like, it's like Chris learning how to do sarcasm.
Yeah. It's like, am I doing it right? Am I getting it?
And he doesn't like, it seems like, it's like, this is the game, right? Like, I'm doing something you like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and.
So hold on. So to get a little serious, like her realizing that really does set up the future, because inevitably when things progress with their relationship, it's not so, weird that they get back together. Right. Because she's not going to allow herself to go through that again, that was the cause. So they identified the cause of their split, and now later it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to let you be you. And now he's doing something that she likes. So they're already showing like he can be like her, sarcastic.
Right. He can be accommodating.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. So Chris is the type of personality that like, he's assertive. He knows exactly what he wants.
Right.
And we saw that when they went out to order food, and listed very specifically what he wanted. And Anne was mimicking his behavior.
Right.
And so so now a healthy relationship needs to have some kind of differentiation. You can't be the same person. Romantic relationship, friendships, families, like one of the tensions that happen, like I think this is, counseling moment with Jason. One of the tensions that happens in like households around like the teenage years is that like your kids start to differentiate from you as a parent. And, that creates friction, because it's like, but why don't you want to be with me as a parent? And the kid's like, why do you want to be with me? Why won't you just let me be myself? And so like recognizing what it is part of the way to have a healthy relationship with boundaries. And I don't think Chris has ever had a relationship like this before.
Right.
And so, because he's gone from his professional career from town to town, basically repeating himself in all these different places, bringing the Chris Traeger charm and winning people over temporarily. But now he's setting down some roots in Pawnee, and he's going to have to actually have real people in his life. So,
yeah, he's so good at it, he doesn't even realize it. Like he's so Chris Traeger. Like that's his blind spot.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad we learned something today.
Yeah. Which was an NBC thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. The more you know.
Boom.
Yeah.
On brand.
We are totally on brand. So basically Anne tells Chris, like, you just need to back off. Let Millie be Millie. Let Chris be Chris. Give each other some space. Everything will be fine.
And I think that was the start. He was like, oh, thank you. But the look that he gave her was kind of like, hey, hold on. Hold up. This could work. Anyway.
Yeah. So that's the C plot. A little bit of relationship development here. But I do think the C plot helps further the A plot when we get to that. Like it's important. It's a good it's a good foundation for what's going on with Ben and Leslie
Mm-hmm.
in their relationship. So let's talk about Ron and Tom, because this is also the one of the most important couples in the whole show, Ron and Tom.
It's true.
So Ron is
wait, hold on. What
yeah.
do you who's like father, like whose mentorship relationship do you like enjoy better, Ron and Tom's or Ron and Andy's?
I'm gonna go option C, Ron and April.
Oh, that's also good.
Yeah, Ron is like the wise guru father of the whole department. But he's very withholding on his guru-ness. Mm-hmm. And so when
he only gives it to those who are deserving.
Exactly.
Who've proven themselves.
Right. And so like these three people and Leslie, but Andy, Tom, and April they're all adrift in life. You know, they don't getting choked up.
I know. Wow. Yeah.
They don't have a clear direction when we meet them. They don't know who they are really. And so April, like when we meet April, she's like completely shut down from everybody and just keeps everyone at a distance. Andy is excited, but no focus, no direction. And Tom is just projecting who he wants to be, but has no real self-identity. And so this season for Tom is really figuring out like, who is Tom? Mm-hmm. Right. And so, yeah. So
April gets the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
She's come so far.
Yeah. So Ron fully knows who he is. Like he has no problem. Like he's also a very assertive person. He knows who he is, but he's not trying. He never tries to push who he is on other people because he is a libertarian. You know, he's like, you do what you want. I'm going to do what I want. No problem. And so he's never like super pushy about, he will state his beliefs and his ideals, but he's never like pushy about other people doing those things. And even when we first interact with Tom, like Leslie's putting together this Model UN and she's trying to rope Ron into it. And he's like, no, I'd rather sand down my toenails. And then it gets to a talking head, like every 3 weeks I have to sand down my toenails. They're too thick for clippers. And so, which is gross.
It just reminds me of the Dumb and Dumber when they're getting there. Yeah.
Yeah. And like sparks are flying off.
Sanding disc and
yeah. So good. I love that movie so much.
All the hair falling into his lap, and then it realized it's his nose hair. That was a great scene.
Yeah. Anyway. To get you ready for the ball, Cinderella. So Ron is not going to participate in the Model UN because he's working to find Tom's replacement. Mm-hmm. And so Tom shows up. He's like, hey, Ron, you ready for lunch? Like, real quick, I just got a couple more interviews to do. You sure you don't want your job back? And Tom's like, nah, I'm a shark. I don't swim backwards. But then we get this talking head where Ron says, I offered Tom his job several times and he keeps saying no. But then the other day I saw him spraying cologne at Macy's. And it's like he's got a lot of pride, but it's going to be a lot of work to get back. And so he has Tom sit in on the interviews for his replacement, which seems like a really unethical thing to do because Ron also has no interest in hiring any of these people.
Right.
And so the first one is Courtney, who is a 1,000,000-year-old racist, as Tom says, because he got fired 48 years ago for making a pass at an ethnic woman. And then he went to Mexico for a while, spent some time in jail. And there were plenty of ethnic women in Mexico.
Yeah, so he stayed there. They grow on trees.
They grow on trees down there. And so Courtney leaves and Tom's like, wow, you can't hire him. He's like, I don't know. He seems like a good kid. He seems okay. And he's a 1,000,000-year-old racist. And Ron's response is, he said he likes ethnic girls.
That was the best joke.
So,
how can you be racist if you like something?
Yeah. So that was funny. I'm sorry. I'm going through my notes and I realized something that I needed to call out before we get too far down. Ron says he saw Tom at Macy's.
Mm-hmm.
Two questions.
Ron went to Macy's.
Why is Ron at Macy's? And why would Ron go to the mall?
Well, he's got to get new sandpaper for his toenails.
You think he gets that at the mall? He doesn't get that at like Home Depot or his small like neighborhood hardware store?
Food and stuff.
Yeah, food and stuff. Yeah, like that. When he said I saw him at Macy's, like what is happening that would ever take Ron to Macy's?
It's good. That's a good point. Ron would never ever go to the mall. That's like the capitalist mecca.
Yeah, it's anti-Ron. So, so that's just something that is going to keep me up at night.
Also, I just want to go on the record and saying walking from the parking lot into the mall through Macy's and the perfume section is the worst possible entrance route to the mall, bar none.
Any mall, not just our local Alderwood Mall.
No, all of them. It never like the perfume counter area is just, I don't even have a good word, like funny things to make fun of it. It's just torture. It's the worst.
Right. And Macy's puts it right in the walkway.
Oh.
Whereas like Nordstrom, a classy joint, like they have their own section. And you can walk around it.
How can you smell anything when everything smells? It's all the smells. It's just brown. It's beige. It's a beige smell. It's just everything. It's when you mix all the paints together. You just get brown.
I get it, man. I understand.
I'm very upset. It makes my eyes water.
Mine too. I don't wear cologne because it makes my eyes water.
Yeah.
And my wife does not understand. Like, I wish you would wear cologne. I was like, do you want me to be crying all the time? Is that what you're hoping for?
Are you okay, buddy? I'm just trying to smell good, man.
I'm just trying to impress my wife by smelling better. It's so hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah. So anyway.
Is that teriyaki birdcage?
So Tom is going to help Ron find the person because Tom's like, I built a legacy here. I need to have a good replacement. And then he claims to be the person to have invented the Parks and Rec abbreviation. Mm-hmm. So it used to be Parks and Recreation, then just Parks and Rec, and then P&R. And then I elongated it a little bit too. Tommy's Place. So the next one is a guy who's like, yes, my name is Gary and I'm from Gary, Indiana. That's one of my favorite anecdotes. To which Tom responds, a fact is not an anecdote. Here's an anecdote. Today I met the most boring man in the world. His name was Gary. So I do love though, because later on we're going to find that Jerry's name is actually Gary. And so this ongoing development of Jerry's boringness, Gary is also boring. So
all Garys are boring, I guess.
All Garys are boring.
Like even Gary the snail in SpongeBob. Like he was just there.
I don't know what that is.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
I barely know what that is.
I am like Kenneth on 30 Rock when he first watched SpongeBob and he asked Jack, is it supposed to be terrifying? And Jack's response is yes. So the next one is a guy named Keith, and it starts with Ron reading his paper and Keith, you wrote for sex. Yes, please. Ha ha ha. And then it zooms out to see it's Kyle Mooney from SNL, one of the funniest people on the planet.
Yes.
So he's like, yeah, did you get it? But in all seriousness, I'm a boy. And then this is probably one of the best parts of this whole episode. When they ask, what are you hoping to get out of it? You wrote, in a month or so. And he's like, oh, yeah. And I thought you meant when. And so it's like, yeah, so what are you hoping to get out of it? His 1 month of money is just right.
1 month of money. like what? I want to know so much more about his character, because it's like how strapped is he? Like, what's the situation where you have to apply for a job to hopefully just make enough money for 1 month that you can just move on with whatever it is that you need to do in your life? Like, is he trying to leave town? Does he have like mobsters trying to break his kneecap in a month? Like, what is happening?
I don't know. I just love it so much. 1 month of money is just right.
Maybe he's trying to buy some shirts that fit because he was really tugging at those shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah. And as he's like, he leaves because he's like, I think we've got enough here. And then as his talking head in the lobby, he's like, I don't know. I think it went pretty well. So, listener, if you just want to laugh, you should go look up on the YouTube Kyle Mooney interviewing sports people, like at stadiums and stuff, because he just says nonsense.
Yeah.
And the people are like, are you okay?
He is the weirdest. Like he thinks in such a different way. It's amazing. Yeah.
And his SNL sketches as like roommates with Beck Bennett.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they're so funny. So yeah.
Even Baby Yoda, which is kind of like hard to watch, but also hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Oh man, he is a very funny dude. So yeah, Kyle Mooney just elevating that whole thing. So after Keith leaves, Ron's like, look, it's going to be hard to find anybody to take you back. Would you please come back? And Tom says no. And so then Ron chases Tom down in the parking garage and tells him the truth that he saw him spraying cologne in Macy's. And Tom's like, there's a Macy's in town? What? I hear they have a very attractive cologne sprayer.
Even when he's deflecting, he's still pumping himself up.
Right. Yeah. And so he's like, Tom, what can we do? And so Tom convinces Ron to beg Tom to come back in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tom still refuses. And then Ron follows him down and drags him back. And now Tom is begging for his job back. And so Tom's coming back into the office, and the credit scene is wrapping up this part where they're welcoming Tom back, and Tom has his own welcome speech, and it's all full of like swagger and nonsense. And Leslie's like, yada, 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 yada. Tom's back. And everybody's happy. They're celebrating. But Jerry is now moved to a smaller desk right by the copier. And he's like, I can't hear anything over the copy machine. And April's like, these are really important. And she holds it up and it just says, printer test. Like, I need to print these right now.
And the look from Leslie, like, come on, like, do you really need to be doing that right now?
And absolutely she does, because Leslie or April is gonna do her thing. So all right. So yeah, I just love those interviews. They're so good. My name is Gary and I'm from Gary, Indiana. So Andy, so then let's go to the A plot, which focuses in on Leslie and Ben and Andy and April. They're going to carry the load on this one. And so she's leading the Model UN, and she starts out by showing off all of her 190 something flags to Ben. So nerd party is happening right now is the vibe you get from this opening.
And I know you already talked about the standing of the toenails joke, but I thought was really interesting or kind of funny was like out of the whole entire like first bit, there were a lot of jokes and stuff, but the capper to get out of the whole Model UN scene was a joke about Ron's toenails. Like to get out of the cold open was so there's all this UN. I mean, and there's a lot of really funny jokes. Like when she was saying like, who do you want to be? And Andy was like, do you want to be Iceland? He's like, the bad guys from Mighty Ducks 2? I don't think so. What about Japan? The bad guys from Karate Kid 2? Even worse. How about Germany? They've never been the bad
guys. So he gets
and April gets the moon.
Yeah, but is he Finland?
Yeah.
So Andy ends up with Finland. April is
South Africa, the moon by proxy of South Africa.
Right. And so, which will come in much later, which is fantastic. So they're going to go help do this thing. And it turns out like Ben is also super into Model UN. And so they are like the perfect team, right? To lead this high school club. It's going to be great. It's going to help. And so when they get to the school, a girl that we later find out is named Cassidy. I love that they never introduce her until the very end of the arc. She's just the ambassadeur from France. But she calls Leslie a Model UN legend. And then it cuts to a talking head and Leslie's like, a legend? I don't know. I prefer icon or hero. And then Leslie opens up the whole thing as the ambassador from Denmark. And she tells everybody that they are trying to solve a global food crisis, and they need to learn to work together to handle this. Otherwise, millions of people will die. But have fun. And so, so right away, Ben and Leslie are having fun being nerds about this whole thing, and as they are, talking their plans, Leslie's campaign manager comes and wants to do a photo op, which is frustrating to Ben, because he's like, "Hey, we're here for this thing, and you're using this thing to leverage your own goal," and so it's super annoying to Ben. Meanwhile, Andy traded Finland's military to Canada for 50 lions.
It's a good move.
And he tells April, and like, this is a good idea. And he's like, well, also militaries are pretty good. So but
you don't have to pay lions.
Right. Yeah. It was like, well, you don't have to pay lions. So he's going for all the lions. And so he's getting set up there. And then Ben tries to get Leslie back into the activity, but the campaign manager is like, it's probably going to be 15 more minutes. And Ben is like, well, we need to do this treaty. Otherwise Russia and China are going to do their treaty, and, we got to do ours. And, but Leslie's then going to take about 50 minutes or it's going to take longer than Ben wants. And so he's frustrated, and eventually Leslie's done and she comes over, and Ben has merged his treaty with Russia and China. And so Peru, is coming together with Russia and China. And he's like, I was tired of waiting for Denmark. And so I swam over to Asia to make a deal with Russia and China. And so Leslie's like, we need to talk about this. What's going on here? And Ben is frustrated, and he tells her, like, look, we can't hang out as friends. And your insistence on doing this is selfish. And like, it's only making this harder. So we just need to get through this and move on. And Leslie's talking head is like, hey, I'm so mad at Ben. I shared my flags with him. And then she, like, as she's doing a talking head, she's like, just wait a minute. And she goes up to the podium and declares war on Peru and asks for all of her Scandinavian brothers to unite against Peru.
I love that there's like one extra kid who like stood up kind of quizzically. I don't know if you looked in the background. There's like one guy that's like, I guess I'm standing up because I'm part of the Scandinavia crew.
Right.
I thought it was really funny.
Yeah. And this is where, oh no, not yet. So Leslie is going to war against Peru, and she's trying to get people on her side and getting all the kids to team up against Ben. But they just tell her, like, look, we just want to solve this food crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben is refusing to back down, and he comes over as Leslie's talking to the kids and like throws a white flag and like, you're going to need to wave that in surrender. And Leslie's response is, the only thing I will wave is your decapitated head in front of your weeping mother. And everybody is shocked. Even Andy is like, not good. So the ambassador from France is talking at the podium, and then Ben interrupts to go up and make a declaration. And the ambassador's like, I'm talking. And his response is, then why am I with the microphone?
Total adult move.
And so she asks the Security Council to punish Denmark. And everybody agrees to punish Denmark. And then Leslie gets up and is like, Denmark no longer recognizes the authority of this UN nation of thugs. And then April joins as the moon.
She's got a hat on.
A moon head.
Yeah. And her moon flag, like with the crescent moon on it.
Yes. And then this is where the great line, Leslie's like, we got the moon. What are you going to do without tides, Peru? So things are going great at the Model UN.
Did you ever have a Model UN club at your school that you knew of?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Did you?
No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
I don't think I had heard about this until college when they were like in a civics class. And I was like, this is a thing people did in high school?
Yeah. Were you part of any clubs?
I was part of the Spirit Club, known as the Roo Crew.
Like ghosts and stuff?
No, like to raise raise school spirit.
Oh,
And so, yeah, going to games, making a ruckus, having fun.
So just being a high schooler. I got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I got a cool bowling shirt out of it. So
sweet. Nothing says spirit like a bowling shirt.
Yeah, it was tradition, man.
I get, yeah. Yep.
Purple bowling shirt with gold letters.
Just as our forefathers intended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Purple and white. Fight, fight, fight. Go Kangaroos. Yes. So were you in any clubs? I mean, we were both class presidents somehow.
Yeah.
But
of different schools.
Yeah.
They ended up fine. I mean, they didn't go to war or anything.
All I know is after I graduated, they totally rebuilt the building. So I don't know if that's good or bad.
Oh, did you appropriate funds?
I didn't pay. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, no, I was part of the safety club. Because rules. You can't. Come on, guys, knock it off. You guys have too much spirit over there. See, we would have been enemies.
Jason, you can't dance up and down the stairs like that. It's a fire hazard.
Yeah.
I'm moving. I'm not blocking the stairs.
Yeah, that's not the safety dance. You can't. Oh.
Okay.
Anyway.
Pause real quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Have you seen the commercials for Alaska Airlines with the safety dance?
They're the worst. They're
absolutely terrible.
Yeah. They're travesty. My kids love them.
Of course they do.
Of course.
Because they're made for children.
Yeah.
But like children.
Children who can fly.
Children
who can
buy airplane tickets.
Yeah.
And who, like in Seattle, needs to know about Alaska Airlines?
I don't know.
Like,
but it's
guys.
It's total like fellow kids. Like, hey, fellow kids, look at this TikTok dance. So bad.
It hurts me every time. And I'm just glad, like with the passing of the pandemic and things opening up, I'm just glad those commercials have stopped.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, finally, we're free. I'll wear a mask the rest of my life if I don't have to see that commercial again.
I'll put the mask right over my eyes.
Yes.
Yeah. No, our club, like we went and like picked up litter on the side of the road. I was totally duped. I thought it was going to be something cool, but nope. I was like, whoa, we're going to keep people safe from litter on the side of the road, I guess. I don't know.
I'm like a superhero.
Which put us into danger because cars do not really care about high schoolers picking up trash on the side of the road.
No, they're like, look at those prisoners.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anyway, so the Security Council then expels Denmark and Peru, and the ambassador from France is very frustrated because Leslie ruined her favorite club. And this is where Andy is a part of this, and he's like, did we win? I think we won. What were we trying to do? I learned so much today. And then Leslie is sitting down in the halls by the lockers, and April comes and she's like, I think it's really cool that everything fell apart today, but you need to talk to Ben and work this out. And like this whole scene is so high school, and Leslie's like, I hate it here. Can't wait to graduate. So Andy is talking to Ben in a science class, and he tells Ben, if you reorganize the letters of Peru, it spells Europe.
It's such a good joke. I wonder if he ad-libbed that.
I don't know. It's so great. And Ben's like, no, it doesn't. He's like, you have to reorganize it.
Yeah, you got to because ERUP. Europe.
Yeah, it's totally, almost all there.
It totally works.
You need an O and another E, but still pretty close.
Yeah.
And then Andy's like, look, you and Leslie need to have a Camp David. And cut to a talking head where it's like, it was just my friend David's house where we would go and we'd work things out, and it was awesome. And then Ben's like, how do you know about Camp David? And he's like, how do you know about Camp David?
David Fundus.
Yeah. So April, so Ben and Leslie are going to talk it out, and Andy and April are like, we're going to go up on the roof and throw these scientist bottles off the roof. And they're holding up beakers and stuff, like these scientist bottles.
And these are the parts of the shows like this I love because Leslie's like, no, and April's like, yeah, that's right. See ya.
We're out of here.
Because your thing is way bigger than us throwing scientist bottles off the roof. So we're gonna go do what we want to because you have to stay here and fix this. See ya.
Oh man, so good. I just love whoever decided that we're gonna call these beakers scientist bottles.
Yeah.
So brilliant. So brilliant. Yeah.
Like horse chairs. That's That's one of my favorite ones too.
Yeah.
Horseshoes. You mean saddle? Yeah, whatever.
Oh, so good. So Leslie proposes a treaty for her and Ben's relationship, which is sounds totally Leslie, but it's basically rules and stipulations that we must have a fun 5-minute conversation every day at work. Like, okay. So Ben's like, I'll talk to the people of Peru and see. And so then Leslie's like, we're going to make it right. And she invites the students from the Model UN to the city council room, the nicest room in all of City Hall. And then says, like, we're going to do a statewide Model UN for you. And Ben and I will be nowhere near here.
Right.
And we'll do it right here in the city council room. And so...
Well, did you catch that line though back when she was saying like, oh, it's bad enough that we can't be friends, that we can't be together, but it's too crappy for me to handle. And then he says, I was perhaps a little icier than I needed to be. I don't know, that stuck in my head as like that choice of words as far as Ben being like the ice town. Yeah.
I did not catch that.
I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
Interesting. Do you think ice is going to follow him around the rest of his life?
It might.
Man, whoop, there it is. So that's the episode. It's a good one. Definitely a fun episode. I didn't look up any trivia or anything. Like, again, listener, this is earlier than we normally do this. So
no, there's a good bit of trivia as far as the girl who plays Cassidy, Kelly Washington. She actually comes back and she's the intern candidate in that role where her Leslie and Ron fight over the intern.
Right.
So same actor. And
we also see the return of a very important character in that episode as well.
Yeah.
And it will be great.
And also in the city council chambers, as they were sitting there, there was a placard on the desk that said Councilman Jam.
That's the first time we see Councilman Jam?
I do believe. I'm not saying name? Yeah, I'm almost positive, but
oh man,
it's there. Jam. And that he is not just because his name's Jeremy, but he is definitely one of my favorite characters.
I think it's only because his name is Jeremy.
You got jammed.
There was a moment where Leslie is slamming her shoe on the podium, trying to get everybody's attention. I thought that was funny. But it is a callback to Nikita Khrushchev's infamous 1960 shoe banging incident at the UN. So,
oh yeah,
Khrushchev, notable,
don't remember that.
Notable, like level-headed person. Not crazy at all. So, yeah, well, good. Next week's episode, Jeremy. Is there any other trivia that
not that I saw
people need to be aware of?
No.
Good. Next week's episode is The Smallest Park. And so this is another episode where Ben and Leslie will be teamed up, and they gotta work through their drama. So,
yep, it's a near tearjerker.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this one only got the treaty. I thought it was maybe a little interesting. Jorma Taccone directed it, so one of the Lonely Island guys, and it was written by Harris Whittles. So, but it only got an 8 on IMDb, which I guess people, the whole Model UN ruining the kids, I can see. Like people, the more I read the IMDb comments and ratings, it's that when people ruin other people's times, like it's okay if they're ruining their own lives, but if they're affecting other people, I feel like people take offense to that.
Do people understand that is what TV is?
Yes. No. I understand it. And that's why I think things like this are really, I thought this was a really funny episode, way higher than 8.0, maybe not a 9, but 8.5. But yeah, I don't think people get it. Like this isn't a real world. Like the rules are different.
Yeah. These kids, I just
get off my internet lawn.
Bury your aggression, Derry. Bury your aggression. So I'm August Clementine. So
jazz plus jazz equals jazz.
Things are going to get weird in Pawnee, and I'm so excited.
It's great.
All right. Well, we should get out of here because I'm pretty sure there's going to be some loud banging in my, like, as we were building things in my office. So,
okay.
Yeah, my crew is supposed to show up any minute. So
sounds good. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Well, bye.
Bye.